Historic moment for Zimbabwe. As you all know, the SABC is live on the ground in various cities. We now cross to our reporter in Bulawayo, Tshepiso. Tshepiso, what's the mood on the ground in various rallies in Bulawayo?
Thank you, Adriana. As you were reflecting on all of them in Harare and Bulawayo, the MDC-T holding its final rally at Avalon Amphitheatre, where we spoke to Dr. Thokozani Kupe. And what I can tell you is she managed to draw a crowd of about 3,000. And those that we spoke to there were saying that they're really confident that she can represent them really credibly, because she is a woman who understands the societal pressures that women, the elderly and vulnerable communities face. And this was mainly those that populated the rally, and I'm talking about old and young. There was obviously a greater representation of women. About 15 kilometers away, ZANU-PF held its rally, and they, judging by the figures, were able to draw just about 300 people. Their candidate, John Moody, was handing over an ambulance. And just, Ariana, to give you a sense of what some were saying at both rallies. So those who were at MDC-T rally were saying that it's time for change, and those who were at ZANU-PF rally were saying that, especially the young people, which was quite interesting, that they're going to hold on to the dreams of their forefathers, fought through the ZANU-PF ticket. And Raj Moodley was supported by the Health Minister, David Pereira, whom, when I asked whether or not they've really done enough to pull in the crowds, he was very confident, but admitted that there was still a lot to be done and they hadn't really addressed all the issues. Adriana.
Thanks, Tshepiso. Now, we do know that a battle is brewing for Harare and Bulawayo by all these political parties. ZANU-PF is making use of the discontent that the urban dwellers are saying, listen, we are getting poor service delivery provided by MDC councillors. Do you think that this is a gamble that may pay dividends for ZANU-PF?
Well, Adrian, I think from what you've heard from the supporters of the various parties in Harare and what supporters of these political parties here in Bulawayo are saying, the theme is very common, and I would say Zimbabweans are very steadfast about what is important. They want better living standards, they want jobs, they want to ensure that they don't worry about the day-to-day troubles of whether they're feeding their children, whether they can afford healthcare. Thokozani Kupe is proposing free maternal health care. She's saying that the nation needs to be better digitized. And I was saying earlier on that ZANU-PF has an extensive manifesto. While detailed, it would seem for some it's a pie in the sky. So people are listening to what the politicians are promising, but their needs are very basic. Interestingly enough, what we're likely to see, not only according to the pundits, but the voters themselves, interesting, especially about MDC, the alliance and the splinter groups that she spoke about. Some of those who were at the rally were saying the symbols are so similar, especially between the MDC alliance and MDC-T, that it may be possible that they may vote for the wrong MDC because of the similarity of the symbols, the messaging, and who knows, the MDC-T may reap more of that reward because of the harking back of the symbolism to Morgan Tsvangirai. It's very difficult to tell at the moment, because there are those who are also undecided, Adriana, who say, well, you know, Emerson Mnangagwa is really trying, but they're not sure at this point. They will uphold their right to vote, but it may be still up in the air.
Now, the rallies have come to an end and it's been said to be peaceful. What happens next, Tshepiso?
So for the next 24 hours, political parties are prevented from campaigning. At this stage, the ZEC should have sent out messages to all of those who are on the voters' roll to tell them which voting stations that they're expected to and how many voting stations are available in their area. But it's also somewhat of a controversy because we've seen reports not only from the ZEC admitting that yes, they're using a new biometric system, but not everybody has received these SMSs, and there are complaints from people, some even speculating, the accusations against the ZEC and ZANU-PF saying that they are colluding to ensure that Emmerson Mnangagwa is installed as the president of Zimbabwe, that not sending out these messages to people is a way of trying to swindle voters out of their right to choose their next leader. But there is just so much that is still to be thoroughly dealt with, because opposition parties like the MDC Alliance have said that if they feel that the vote is not credible, they're actually not going to contest. So what happens Monday, as we know, 30th July, Zimbabweans go to the polls in this tripartite vote. They vote for the president, House of Representatives, etc. But then should there be a runoff, that is likely to happen in September. And it's not necessarily the same system as ours. It's first past the post. So we will see. The opposition parties have really run their race. As many of them said, they've given their all. But the question is, have they done enough? There has been voter education. But in terms of the manifestos, the analysis of some of those is that some of them are rather bland, or there's a lot of similarity, or it's too much detail or too little detail. Zimbabweans are, by all accounts, when we've spoken to them, rather educated voters. The electorate does understand the rural areas as well. And I just want to point out another interesting fact there, Adriana, is that with regards to ZEC and its responsibilities, or whether or not it has kept to them, delimitations of the boundaries is something that it is tasked with. But the criticism by some has been that it has been derelict of that duty, that every 10 years or so it's supposed to have done that. The last time it did that was in 2002. And what that has done is that it has given more than 60% of those voting boundaries to rural areas. So typically, as you know, rural areas have been largely supportive of ZANU-PF. The incumbent, Emmerson Mnangagwa, is then said to be able to be the beneficiary of that. But the ZEC has given its reasons, saying that there have been delimitations, that some people are refusing to accept that. So it will be very interesting to see. But as it stands, it says that everything is ready. Observers, monitors are on the ground to ensure that polling stations open on time, to ensure that voting material is available. And there's a technicality of how the voting material is stored, who is allowed in the voting station, as you know, etc., etc. The security situation has also been something that opposition parties have raised concern about. The police have said that they're merely exercising their duties. Nobody has been interrupted with, just in terms of being able to exercise their vote.
Thank you. That was certainly very informative. That was our reporter Tshepiso Makwetla reporting live from Bulawayo.